Ready? Go. Okay. Dwalin, you want bloopers? Yes. 2024. Okay. Okay. Let's. Are we already on? Welcome to Eminence Unfiltered Part 13. Today we have a special guest with us. We've been doing some conversations around project management, portfolio management from last few months because we were intending to move the conference from Mumbai to Goa. We met most of the leaders in person and the potential delegates in person. Everyone suggested that why are we not having a podcast with this one person, but he's difficult to get hold of. Let me spill the beans. So today we have Mr. John Robert with us at Eminence Unfiltered. To tell you more about him, it's not like that he needs an introduction, but to tell you more about him, John Robert is Vice President and Head for Projects and Program Management, Biologics at Dr. Reddy's, and is a project leadership enthusiast with over 2 decades of experience in projects, engineering, and operations. With a background in engineering and an MBA, he possesses 360-degree exposure as a consultant, project manager, leader, and contractor, handling everything from simple brick and mortar projects to complex innovation programs. He has significant expertise in large scale infrastructure projects and complex research programs. So let's welcome John today. How are you doing, John?
Oh, doing wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Guneet.
That's really great. And John, I will let you know the purpose of this podcast. Most of the pharma peoples, they really want to learn from the lifestyles of the leaders. They know who the leaders are professionally. They know how they are at the workplace. What they want to know is that means how the leaders reach there and what is their lifestyle. So my first question to you in this podcast is, who are you behind the whole facade of this professional project manager and author? Who are you behind the whole facade?
I tend to live life fully, and I tend to grab the challenges what life brings in. So that way, one of the way in which I got into project management, because project management brings in new challenges every time, and also some of the other passion what I am into is a result of that.
All right, okay, that's very well put across. I know this about you that apart from that, you are a great photographer as well. This is something which is a very learned thing for me, and the people who know you, tell me more about it, your hobby.
I'm not a great photographer. I'm a wannabe great photographer.
That is a very humble statement, I would
Yeah.
say. I've seen your work, so that's a very humble statement.
Yeah. So somewhere I realized that we have to have a mechanism of connecting to the nature, right? So one of the mechanism I figured out, which worked for me, is wildlife photography.
Okay.
So it started when I lived in Baroda. There was a competition by Gujarat Tourism, and that time I was randomly clicking some pictures, and then I have posted it. And they selected me out of 500. They selected 25 photographers to go around Gujarat and then click wildlife so that they can promote that. So I was part of the team,
Okay.
and then that team stuck with me. That passion stuck with me. Since then, every year we used to go to national parks to click pictures of mammals, birds. The purpose behind that is revealing the beauty of the nature and thus impressing upon a message to conserve the nature.
Right, right. I would say that means, this is also a lot to do with the traveling as a hobby. Somebody who doesn't like to get their hands dirty, to go to the places which are going to be the best, beautiful places, means it takes a degree of adventure in you. So tell me more about this adventure that you are taking everywhere in your heart.
Absolutely. So travel is the biggest learning mechanism, right? Every time you travel, you learn something, and you establish bonds with the new people, and then you tend to explore some of the unexplored areas. With respect to adventure, I can cite one example.
Yes.
So we have been to a park called Pinch Tiger Reserve, and we went inside the park in search of tigers. All of a sudden, the hailstorm started,
Okay.
and we are stuck in the deep inside the woods. And then the trees are uprooted. We could not proceed with our vehicles.
Oh my
So just
God.
imagine if you are stuck there in the night. There are 150 tigers around, and you're not allowed to get down from the safari
Vehicle,
jeep.
yes.
So that was a kind of thrilling experience which we
Right.
had, and finally we figured out a way in which we can go through the jungle, and then we came out. Our driver and naturalists were very intuitive, and they could help us to rescue us.
So you applied your project management skills there, and then the project management you learned there, you're implementing it now.
Absolutely. One way we can connect these things.
But this is like full of adrenaline rush when I have to talk about it. This is
Absolutely.
quite a adventure that you're sharing. So these are the instances. There might be several such instances that you might be a part of,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
So the first time I saw a tiger itself is kind of, you immediately got the adrenaline. You know, we seeing this in pictures and then seeing it face to face, and that to near,
Picturing
up
the
close like
majestic
you,
beauty.
right, within
Yes.
3 4
Really?
feet. Yeah. And the size, the majesty of the tigers is something which is mesmerizing.
Wow, this close. And means you are in the open vehicle?
We normally we are in the open vehicle. Yeah.
All right, okay. And means since it's a sanctuary, right?
Yeah.
Right. So means there is danger as well involved in this.
Animals are unpredictable, so
Yes,
projects
yes.
are.
All
So
right.
what they say is, lions don't attack human. Tigers attack, but they don't eat.
Okay.
And
You think it could be out of fear?
there are man killers. Okay. So what happens? So we are in the jeep, right? From tiger's perspective, jeep is the biggest species. We are an integral
Ah,
part of it. Okay. That's
yes.
how they say don't step down from the vehicle, right? So it sees that as a, they say global optima, right? It sees that such a way.
Right.
And most of the wildlife sanctuaries, this happens every day. So tigers are used for this. I mean, it's not a surprise for them.
Makes sense. Now means I hear this all the time. We went to Jim Corbett as well, and couple of national parks we visited, and with that also. So I've always heard them say that okay, do not step out of the vehicle even for a moment. Now it starts making sense to me that what is the reason, because nobody tells the reason honestly, but
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So tell me, John, means you have any other hobbies as well apart from photography and traveling?
So I used to write. I participate in conferences. I used to speak a New York conference since you have started Pharma PPM conference.
Yes, I know you're a wonderful speaker. That part I know. And book writing, how did you develop this beautiful trait? Because what I can see is what you write, it actually resonates with so many. You have so many subscribers to your newsletter, even online, and it's turning to a very beautiful book. And I'm super excited for it. Thank you very much for signing it for me with a beautiful message. But everyone is always super excited with what you're coming up next. I'm really thrilled to know that means, how did you inculcate this beautiful side
Thank
of
you
you?
for your kind words. It's basically expressing your ideas. It's a medium to express the ideas. I started very, very small. I didn't have an idea of writing a book itself. So I started small, writing blogs into my website, into LinkedIn kind of thing. It's a communication channel where I can resonate with other people, fellow project managers. Mostly I started writing in project management subjects. Then I stumbled upon an idea which cannot be contained in a blog size, neither it is a full-fledged book. So I was with that for almost around 30 days or so. And once I have traveled to Israel, there's a hill called Carmel Hill, and
Okay.
there I got an inspiration. I don't know, it has to do with Israel or something else. And I started writing the remainder part of the portion overnight from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And that gave rise to my first book called Spiral Staircase Project Management.
I
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
And that gave me inspiration and confidence that I can also write books. And then I continued this. The recent endeavor, the 2 minute stories, there are a lot of theories we write, but people are not connecting to that, right? I found there are unsung heroes whom we have among us in our workplace, our bosses, our managers, our peers, our project team members, they do exemplary kind of work. We celebrate cricketers, we celebrate movie stars. I'm not saying it's wrong, but we have heroes, unsung heroes among ourselves. So I thought, why not we write about this? So then I
Absolutely.
started writing about that, and people started relating to that. It becomes like a snowballing effect. And I have published about 50 episodes in LinkedIn. Then additional episodes I have written, and in fact, that came as a book. And thanks for giving me an opportunity to launch that
You're
in
most
seventh
welcome.
version of.
It is an honor, I must say. That means rather than you saying thanks to me, I must be thanking you for giving us the honor to do this. Uh, Honestly, this kind of outlook is very important for any author. Beautiful writing skills there, beautiful thought process is there, but the outlook to see the things in a different way, the outlook and the perspective to see other person's perspective, acknowledging them. This is really big hands to you that for seeing those people and acknowledging their work.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I mean, I would say one is acknowledgement. Second is that I wanted this writing to be a source of inspiration for people to inspire others. Do correct things in life, and then be a better leader, be a better manager. So, in fact, I call this as a storybook for managers and leaders. Right? We all grow with stories in our childhood. When we go for business graduations or something like that, we do case studies. It's all form of stories. So story sticks with us, and when we have an opportunity to write about the people's achievements or their accolades, why not?
Would you like to share a small story with us from your book?
Okay. Since we are in Goa, I had a project manager working with me. He started his career at Goa, and he came from a remote village from Maharashtra. And then he came here, and then he got a job, and he started working. He took an apartment for rent, and by inspired by him, a lot of people studies BPharm. Okay, and what happened? His house has become an asylum for everyone. So what people do, they get graduated and they come here, and then they stay in his house, search for job, and then go settle in job. Then they
Okay.
take the other house, and then this has become like a habit from his village. And at one point of time, he was telling, so I have informed to the village that I'll keep the key somewhere. Okay,
Wow.
people will come and then take the key, they freshen up, they go for interview, and then they come back. At one point of time, he lost count of who is in his house, who is not in his house.
But
So
this is so selfless.
yeah, I call this as lighthousing. He became a lighthouse for the entire village, and he became a source of support for a lot of budding pharmacists to get into the career.
Right.
I mean, this is a exemplary work, right?
Absolutely.
And that has to be highlighted. And
Absolutely,
I'm proud of
100%.
him. Yeah, and that's one story which inspired me personally.
This is such an inspiring story. It's like that means 2 minute story is are so amazing. Sometimes when you're busy and you do not have the week for dedicating to the book, you can just pick up one rather than waiting for it to end. You're inspired with just 2 minutes of those words, and it kind of changes your day and shifts your mood and makes you think better to be better. So it's a great contribution to the society and to the pharma fraternity and the people. Thank you very much once again for launching such an amazing book.
Thank you.
And I want to know about what inspired you to excel in project management so well.
I, I am passionate about doing new things. Okay. Um, Creating new products, creating new facilities, infrastructure. These are typically projectized. So somewhere I did my graduation, chemical engineering, and I did my MBA. Then I had an opportunity to start in projects, and then I stuck with that. In fact, after 10 years, program management came up as a discipline in pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
So what excites me there is the uncertainty. What excites me there is every day we are creating something new. Yeah, and we are among the group of innovators and scientists with full of energy and enthusiasm.
All the time. Yes, absolutely. Means that does make a lot of sense, which brings me to my next question. Did you always know that you want to be in pharma?
I did not. In fact, I did not start in pharma. That time, the entire India was focusing on APIs, right? So I entered into the chemical sector. Okay. And that became a segue for me to get into the pharmaceutical industry.
But every successful leader I ever speak with, this is my favorite question to ask. And it is always the same answer I get. Then I feel that all the leaders who are growing into being more successful, they didn't know which sector. They knew their passions and they followed their passions and they become leaders. So I think that to all our listeners, one example that you can take from every single podcast is that how every leader were following their passion rather than working for money. First work for your passion, excellence and success will follow. Don't you agree, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Do what you like, and that will take you to places.
Thank you very much. And John, I we have the listeners not only from the pharma fraternity, we have listeners from the academic background, the kids from colleges and universities in pharma. They are aspire to be in pharma and other sectors as well. So, any particular advice that you would like to give to our viewers and listeners from the pharma academy?
Absolutely, yeah. So, what excites me to be in pharmaceutical industry is that every day, day in day out, when I come into the office, when I go out of the office, the work what I do is helping to reduce the pain or cure the diseases in one way or other. I mean, I'm not a scientist who innovate a molecule, but the way our participation in the project is ultimately ends up in curing diseases, in helping maintaining the patient. So the in pharmaceutical profession is something which is fulfilling and which is connecting to the fellow citizens, and that's how I feel to be proud about being in pharmaceutical industry. And for the people who are aspiring to come, yeah, there are enough scope available, enough space available. If you are passionate about people, if you wanted to help people, please
You
embark
need
on
to
a
bring that
journey.
mindset first of all,
Yeah,
according to you, and then appear for the interviews after that.
absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. Um, Today's conference as well, we had a lot of questions around growing up the ladder. And this is something where we develop this podcast because we want to make sure that people are learning from the leaders that how to be the leaders. Uh, any advice that you would like to share with our listeners, how to grow up the ladder and how to be the right leader?
correct. So I take a tree as an analogy, right? Tree grows upwards or downwards?
It grows upwards, but in a way downwards as well because the roots are spreading.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what is more important for growth is the depth.
Ah, does. Wow. Wow, this is very deep. I'm going to remember it. And I hope it is not copyrighted because I'm going to use it.
It's there in my book. So when I say roots, and what we see all that on the trees is fruits, right? Your return on investment, your results, top line, bottom line, your ability to launch projects on time, with scope, within budget, all those kind of things. But the causes that create the result is deep rooted. It's about the teamwork, it's about building the people, it's about strengthening the decision making capabilities, it's about having a shared vision, it's about inspiring people. If you do that, it will help you to get results as well. So you become a holistic manager come leader, because today you will have to deliver results. That's the very purpose of we existing in organizations. While delivering the results, also enabling these root causes of the results is really important, and that helps organization and also individuals to grow in the corporate ladder.
This is such a beautiful analogy. Means we have spoken on those lines, but I don't think that anyone has explained it to me in such a beautiful way because it's more about your values, core values are deeply rooted, and that builds the foundation, and then you cascade it. Most of the times we have seen this, that even in the entrepreneurs becoming big companies and it turning into a brand, and what happens, you are setting certain values, and now with time those values are just on paper. So that is definitely not deep rooted, it's only above the surface, and any wind can blow it. This is the best possible analogy I could get for the leadership. Thank you very much. One tricky question, since this is for my grade, this is yes for the listeners as well, but for my grade, that I really want one tip from you. Yes, it's right to trust your team. Yes, it's right, that means we bring some sort of hybrid functionality whenever is required, and understanding that who is able to work remotely and who is able to work here. In leadership, sometimes when you have to take hard calls, and while, for example, let's say a lot of people are working hybrid and some people have to work in office because you know that they need certain compelling training, or maybe you have to let go of an amazing person who really works well, but this deep rooted foundation that you have built, those values are not, means it's more ethical problem than problem with the work. How do you tackle such kind of scenarios?
So, ethics and integrity is uncompromisable. Okay, so you can't apply all these rules over here. Performance can be coached, skills can be imparted, trainings can be given so that people are able to grow in their competency in their delivery performance. But if there is a lacuna in integrity, I think we'll have to make.
That one statement said it all. Thank you, John. I can't tell you how mesmerized I am with the conversation. Honestly, after a while, I just left my phone aside to remember that what all questions I have to ask, and I just gone beyond and asked additional questions for myself. But this is the loveliest possible conversation. This is my first podcast for 2024, and I'm superbly glad that we started with a bang with an amazing podcast by you. Once again, thank you very much for your time today,
Thank you so
for
much,
sharing your
Guneet.
bite.
Pleasure is mine as well. And continue such interviews. Yes, it's important for people to listen to the leaders, and then I get inspired by all the 12 podcasts you have done so far, right? So I used to see each one of them, and then always I have a takeaway from these podcasts. And it's a great initiative. Please continue that. I'm looking forward for listening from many of your other leaders as well.
Thank you very much, Sean. Certainly, we'll keep doing it. Thank you. All right, so this was Mr. John Robert from Dr. Reddy's with us today. Please listen to it and share your comments below. Thank you very much.